Welcome all, I'm EyeofSol. Actually, you know what? I think EyeofSol is a little bit too formal, to be honest. You can call me Sol. After all, Mr. EyeofSol was my father. Anyway, you know what I'm sick of? Zombies. Don't give me that look, Virgil. Yes, even though I've never actually been a fan of zombies to begin with, I still like games like Left 4 Dead and Half-Life 2. But honestly, I think that zombies are really overdone, even though I am a fan of the spooky, scary skeletons atmosphere that they can create. That's why when I heard about this movie ParaNorman, I was a little bit on the fence about watching it. I mean, it's stop motion, and oh shit dog, am I a lover of stop motion. But it's about zombies, god damn it! Why did it have to be about zombies? Well, anyway, I mean, even just the title put me off my waffles. I mean, it just, this ParaNorman, I don't know, something about it, just, ugh. But I'm really glad I decided to give it a try, because, you know, gotta do something to while away the life with. ParaNorman was produced by Leica Studios, who previously made the movie adaptation of the book Coraline, and subsequently all the nightmares of the children who went to go see that movie when it came out. ParaNorman was also nominated for an Oscar at the 2012 Academy Awards. We're getting prestigious up in here again, aren't we? Hey, Song of the Sea? But unfortunately, he lost to Pixar's Brave. Okay, well, let's not beat around the proverbial bush anymore. Let's just put our pencils down, let's get the history lesson over with. It's already over with, but still, let's just cut out all the bullshit and let's take a good, nice, corpsey look at ParaNorman. ParaNorman's plot is fairly standard, at least to start out with. The story revolves around Norman, a young boy with the ability to see and talk to dead things. Since he's the only one who has this ability, he's ridiculed by his peers and emotionally detached from the world around him. However, on the anniversary of the witch's curse, Norman is confronted by his uncle, who can also see dead things, and he passes on his duty of protecting the world from the curse by reading from a book of fairy tales at the place where the witch was buried. I personally feel a lot of attachment to this particular type of story, because I, as a kid, had to endure a lot of what Norman goes through in a similar manner. Without getting too dramatic here, I was also bullied and ridiculed when I was growing up for being weird, so I never really had any friends. So, this kind of story really strikes a chord with me no matter how many times I see it. Well, what about the characters? Even though the focus is mainly on Norman himself, the side characters have a certain uniqueness in how stereotypical most of them are. Whatever sense that makes. The protagonist Norman is a depressed and emotionally detached boy who lives his life in isolation and misery due to his ability to see and talk to dead things. Kids movie, am I right? When he's given the chance though, he can be a little bit mischievous and snarky, and even though he has the ability to communicate with the dead, he isn't afraid of it. When in his own space, he clearly embraces his ability, which you can tell by his fascination with zombies and all of his zombie memorabilia. Like I said earlier, I can really relate to Norman's situation, and I used to be a lot like him, minus the perpetually terrified hair and massive ears, so I'm probably a little bit biased in saying that I love Norman. I can understand if people who aren't familiar with his situation find him a little drab and kind of a downer, but I'd say it's pretty appropriate for how he's treated. The side characters, like a chubby kid named Neil who is bullied, like Norman, for being fat, is pretty entertaining in how plain-faced and just sorta okay he is with everything. He accepts Norman and believes that he can talk to the dead, and sticks up for him and himself, even when faced with violence by the kid who bullies him. Speaking of that, the bully Alvin is a fairly typical show-offish meanie with an IQ lower than the Marianas Trench, but he is, in reality, easily frightened and kind of a loser in his own right. Now, I've known real bullies, and obviously, if stereotypical was the creator's goal for Alvin's character, then they did a great job, but if not, well, he's a bit bland then. There's also Norman's sister Courtney, who I know is supposed to be a stereotypical airheaded bitchy teenage girl who only thinks about boys and popularity and all that shallow crap that makes me ashamed to be the same gender as she is. But even though she'd rather not be in the situation she gets into, and really, who can blame her, she does step it up and defend her brother when he needs it most, and her constant pursuing of Neil's brother Mitch is pretty damn funny once you discover the revelation about Mitch's character at the end that I won't spoil here. The other side characters like Selma, Mr. Prendergast, and Norman's parents are nothing really worth mentioning, except that Norman's father is probably the most unencouraging dad in an animated movie since Chicken Little. Seriously, fuck that guy. Okay, so what's good about this movie? Well, the first goddamn thing you see. The stop motion is probably some of the best I've ever seen in my whole damn life. I mean, does this really look like stop motion to you? The character designs, the sets, the atmosphere, and just everything has this unique charm to it that feels similar to Nightmare Before Christmas, but just a little bit less drab and lifeless. Plus, I just adore the story. I won't pretend and say, oh, this movie's about me, like some overly dramatic prick, but I will always love stories that I can feel a personal connection to, even if the subject matter isn't even close to a realistic situation. The story itself is actually fairly, well, I wouldn't say deep exactly, but it definitely caught me off guard with how close to home the message it conveys hits. This is another one of those movies where there's really no bad guys, it's just a bunch of people doing what they think is right because they're afraid, and even though they may be considered wrong and what they're doing is probably awful and heinous, you have to put yourself in their shoes. What would you have done if you were in the same time with the same mindset as the guilty ones? I'm not going to spoil exactly what makes them guilty, because it's a fantastic twist and deserves to be seen and not spoiled. Plus, this movie can be pretty damn creepy at times. It always has this underlying tone where you know everything's going to be okay, because there's bits of comedy present at all times, but some of the imagery and moods that this movie presents can be more than just a little unsettling for some people. Especially this. Alright, now for the bad things. I mentioned that while the stop motion is top of the line stuff, the CG is oftentimes not. I'm not going to say that CG is ruining movies and everything, because I don't think that in the slightest, but the CG in this, apart from The Witch's Storm, is pretty distracting. It stands out so sharply from the stop motion, and it's more than a little jarring every time it's on screen. The soundtrack is also a little bit forgettable. Not bad by any means, but it doesn't leave too much of an impact. Every song fits the scene well, I just never noticed any tracks that particularly stood out. But the biggest thing I didn't like about this movie isn't even in the movie, it's the title. Sure, call me petty, call me silly, call me whatever the hell you want, but I just think ParaNorman is a ridiculous title. It just doesn't do the contents any justice whatsoever. It reminds me of another stop-motion animated movie with an incredibly stupid title, Frankenweenie. Although, to tell true, ParaNorman has a lot more going for it than that movie, but that's another story entirely. The title is the reason I was so apprehensive to watch the movie in the first place. It just sounds clunky and has no real flow to it. Maybe a niggle for some, sure, but to me, it's a big problem. But, no, wait a minute. No, maybe it has such a stupid title because it's trying to convey the message of the movie right there, in the title. Don't judge a book by its cover, huh? Don't judge a movie by its title, I suppose. Whoa. I think I just had one of those nobody gives a shit revelations. Anyway, if you're a fan of silly horror or anything with a moral gray area with some quality characters and some great atmosphere, or if you're just a fan of stop motion, then this is definitely for you. I give ParaNorman 4 eyes out of 5, which means it's really damn good. It's fucking awesome. But it isn't quite perfect. So, ParaNorman. Is it watchable? Absolutely, although I would recommend turning off the lights for this particular viewing experience. Is it enjoyable? I mean, I can see it being a little bit too intense for a younger audience, but if you're a big boy now, then sure, why not? Is it memorable? Well, honestly, I can kind of see it fading out of the public consciousness, just kind of fading away like a spooky, scary ghost. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching me, EyeofSol, or whatever, Sol, I prefer Sol, to be honest. If you want to see more of my videos and stuff, you can click the links in the video, you can hit subscribe to follow my channel, or, you can check out my Twitch channel and my Twitter page, there's links in the description, anything helps, a like or a share helps, just anything, I'm glad that you'd be supporting my channel, so thanks a lot, and just remember, new reviews will be up every Friday, so you can... Friday, so you can check in for more new videos. As always, if you have an idea for an animated series or movie that you want me to comment on, you can leave me a message in the comments. You can, fire a flare into the sky. You can send me a smoke signal. I don't care. Just send me your suggestions and I will consider every single one I get, because I am a doormat and I will do what you want. Thanks.